Hello everyone. Today we'll see what is ARP and what is ARP poisoning and how we can mitigate the ARP poisoning attack. So first we'll see what is ARP. So ARP is a address resolution protocol. It's a communication protocol which is used to get the MAC address for that given IP address. For any device in that network to communicate, it needs to understand, it needs to know that MAC address. So IP address is a logical address, a MAC address is a physical address. So all the networking device inside the network should know aware about this MAC address for this establishing the communication. And the MAC address is used in the data link layer of the OSI model for that communication, and IP address is used in the network layer. So for it is essential. So all the devices in that network should know the or know the MAC address. That is a machine media access control address. So this is a unique address which is set in that network adapter card. So each network adapter card has have its own unique MAC address across. So this is the thing. So why we need ARP? So without ARP, so none of the device can able to communicate with each other. So because with the IP address, it's a logical address to connect to within the network. Within the network, if you want the device want to connect, it should aware that MAC address. Then only that switch as well as the hub can able to route that packets to that particular destination device. Here, the thing is the two networking device can be used here. One is a switch and another one is a hub. So hub is a dump terminal. It just broadcast all the network packets across all the devices, and switch is having aware the MAC address. So once it at the initial time starting stage of learning phase, it able to get that device MAC address. Once it aware that MAC address, so it switch directly communicate send the packet to the particular device client device. It won't broadcast. So here we can see how the ARP works. For each device to communicate, the device will have that IP address. It has its own IP address as well as the destination IP address. So what it will do, it tries to get, it checks the ARP cache. So ARP cache is available in each machine, in each client machines. So in Windows, if you type ARP/A, we can able to get that list of ARP entries. So here, to get that to want to communicate, start the communication, it checks that ARP cache in that client machine. If that IP address to the MAC address is available, then it uses that MAC address. If that MAC address is not available in that ARP cache, it sends that ARP request with that broadcast that ARP message ARP request to all the devices in the LAN, and the machine which correspond to that IP address device, so destination device sends a response for this ARP request to the source device. Then the source device get those ARP response and it populate its cache, ARP cache with that MAC address with that IP address. Then that source device sends that packet to that destination device with that currently obtained MAC address. So this is how the ARP works in that each network behind the scene to in all the network communications. So what is ARP spoofing? So ARP spoofing is a kind of attack. So here any unwanted third party authorized unauthorized party can able to get into that network. If he get into the network, he can able to send the ARP response with his IP address to that MAC address for to that sender, so that it has the that MAC address of that sender and receiver, the router IP address, it masks with his own MAC address, so that the source machine will send the packets to that middle to that instead of sending it to the destination, it will send to that hacker machine. Then the hacker machine will forward the request to the destination by doing intercepting that message details, and then you will be sending there. Same thing happens at the time of response. Once a response comes from that destination, it just unpack it and then snip it, and then it bundle it and send it to the source machine. So that this is a kind of a man in the middle attack. So so we'll see in this ARP poisoning will work in IP version 4. In IP version 6, the IP version 6 won't use that ARP protocol. They use the network discovery protocol. That is a more secure, and it's a cryptographic key will be used in identifying that destination source device. So how the spoofing happens? So the here, as I mentioned here earlier, the attacker must have access to the network. The sense if any intruder get into the access to the network by somehow we just get into the network by plugging into the network card to his device, and then he can use a true tool like ARP spoof and DriftNet to send the forged ARP response. So that in the forged ARP response, he will be putting the correct MAC address for both the IP addresses, so that all the source and the workstations and the routers will be sending and forwarding the message to this snooped machine, so that that it can able to the two devices updates or cache entries, and then find the communication attacker instead of direct to each other. So instead of communication happen direct from the source and destination, it happens through the middleman. So the attacker now has the control. He can able to snip the packets if you want to have if you want to do adversely do any if you want to manipulate that request and response, he have the better control over there. So this is a snooping attack or snooping, which is a type of man in the middle attack. So here how this is a picture presentation how that Mac ARP snooping happens. Once that ARP once an intruder get into the network and then injected that ARP poisoned ARP response for the devices. So here it will look like this. The hacker device will be in that middle. So all the communication between the client and then destination source and the destination will happen through the hacker machine. So request everything goes via this. So how this is happening, because both the victim and the network access points are table is populated with this hackers ARP response containing the he'll be setting that his MAC address with that IP address for the destination, as well as that network access point address for the client victim machines ARP, so that it can able to establish that man in the middle attack. So how to mitigate that man in the middle attacks? So we can use virtual private network, so that any unwanted any intruders can't able to connect to the network. So this is the one way of securing that network communication. Another one is a static ARP. Instead of using the ARP protocol, we can use a static ARP to populate that ARP table for the client side ARP table. So this is a kind of a static ARP table. This is not extensible, and this is not maintenance incentive operations. So this is not advisable. And another thing is we can use a packet filtering software for like a DLP uh, softwares in the system, so that it can detect the uh, filtering filter the all the request and response packets to check any anomalies, or if any conflicting source information or the destination information, it can filters, and then it can avoid that or snooping. Another one is we can use IP version 6. By default, it uses a network discovery protocol, which is more secure since it uses cryptographic keys for this in the communication of establishing the getting that IP address to machine address translation. So that's all for today. So if you have any questions, please comment.